You've been lied to about your own body. Like, why do you even think sugar makes kids hyperactive? Well, it doesn't, and unfortunately, it's not even the most commonly believed misconception on our list today, or really just the tip of the iceberg. Now that makes you think, where did these even come from? Government? Megacorporations? Your mom? Yeah, actually, all of them. So here goes, incredibly wrong body myths you still believe. Carrots for sharper vision. Back during World War II, British Air Force developed a new radar system, which gave British pilots a dramatic advantage in intercepting German bombers at night. Now, the German planes were falling right and left, and their suspicions were naturally growing. Like, how are they even doing that? The British wanted to keep the radar a secret for tactical advantage, so they got together to come up with a brilliant idea. They came up with carrots. The British started publishing posters and ran a whole campaign that their soldiers had superhuman vision because they ate carrots. That is so dumb. Nobody in their right mind would believe it. Oh, including the German army and the British public, everyone ate up the lie and all the carrots they could get their hands on. As the history books tell us, the carrots proved quite useless for Germans, but the propaganda was so strong it stuck with the public even after they saw the results playing out in real time. Now 80 years later, your mom, your bro's mom, and your bro's mom still believe carrots will somehow improve your bad vision. But there's some nuance in the science here. Carrots contain beta-carotenes that produce vitamin A in the body, which is needed for making a pigment in your eyes which mainly helps you see in the dark. That part is true. Now, eating carrots only helps when your vitamin A levels are low, which is highly unlikely because a lot of the other foods that you eat on the daily basis, like beef or eggs or spinach, make up for any deficiency. If your far or short vision is blurry, that is almost never because you're low on vitamin A, and mostly because of a structural change in the eye shape, and no vitamin on this planet is going to reverse that. Well, unless your doctor goes by Dr. Vitamin or something. So this myth caused losing a world war, but the next one has relatively higher personal stakes and can actually literally kill you. Alcohol warms you up. Like some maths questions, this one feels correct immediately, but again, like those maths questions, it is a good sign to suspect that something is very wrong. This one dates back to late 16th century when some monks in the Alps were running a hospice for travelers in need of help. They had these big, beautiful dogs trained to find people buried in snow and lead rescuers back. This part is real. At some point, the story picked up an extra detail as shown in this painting, that the dogs were carrying little barrels of brandy around their necks to warm people up. That part was completely made up, but it stuck probably because a tiny barrel on a gigantic dog is weirdly convincing. Whatever you say, Mr. Paws. The science here is actually quite simple. What alcohol actually does is open up the blood vessels near your skin, which pulls warm blood away from your core and sends it to the surface. But when it's cold, to protect itself, your body tightens those surface blood vessels and makes you shiver, because shivering is just your muscles generating heat in an embarrassingly desperate but effective way. Now, if you have the genius idea to take alcohol, warm blood moves to your extremities and the shivering slows down. That's your body refusing to do the two main things it relies on to keep you alive in the cold. Well, it would be concerning if you noticed it happening, but you usually don't. So basically, you took the heat away from your heart, lungs, liver, and sent it to your skin to feel warm. For only about 5 seconds, though. See, if you're in the freezing cold, it's almost instantly going to dissipate into the air around you. Some would say it's a bad time to offer your internal heat for public use, but a brain on alcohol isn't exactly known for making great survival decisions. But it still might be a good idea to take a couple shots if your core is well protected and you want to survive frostbite. If you thought this one was wild, well, the next one is even wilder for limiting your brain powers all these years. You can't grow new brain cells. This one wasn't started by the government or a painting, but actually came straight from science itself, which is somehow way more embarrassing. For most of the 20th century, the official scientific consensus was that you were born with all the brain cells you'd ever have, and every birthday was just a slow countdown. Then in 1998, a study came out and basically said, actually, yeah, you can. New neurons were actively growing in adult human brains, specifically in a region called the hippocampus, which handles memory and learning, and they called the process neurogenesis. But for some reason, everyone still believes the outdated concept. Now here's where it gets personal. What this means for you is that your brain is physically changeable based on what you do. You can have better memory, faster learning, more mental resilience by doing simple tasks, like learning a new skill, doing cardio, getting quality sleep, or even just being in a stimulating environment. But in the similar way, very simple habits can also bring the process to a halt, like chronic stress floods your brain with cortisol, which actively suppresses new neuron growth. Poor sleep or heavy drinking cut it off almost entirely. So it's less about the fact that you can grow brain cells and more about the fact that your daily habits are either building your brain or shrinking it. You're safe right now though because you're learning something new and your brain is definitely making babies. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll have more chances of letting your brain grow into a strapping lad that is sharp, smart, and absolutely undefeated. Antibiotics will help your cold. Your cold is caused by a virus. Antibiotics kill bacteria. And if you don't immediately see why that's a problem, here's an example. Sending an antibiotic after a virus is like sending an exterminator to fix a software bug. Completely different category of problem. The exterminator walks in, looks around, finds nothing to kill, and leaves. You paid for nothing. So why do people feel better after taking antibiotics for a cold? Because colds end. That's what they do. You took the pill on day 4, felt better by day 7, and you thought it's the pill magic. Nah, man, that's just how long virus sticks around. But here's where it stops being funny. Every time antibiotics are used unnecessarily, the bacteria in your body, which are constantly evolving, get tiny exposures to the drug. The weak ones die, but the ones with a slight random mutation survive. Now these bacteria are resistant to the antibiotic you took, and so are all the babies it will make. Do that across billions of people over decades, and you get bacteria that have essentially studied every antibiotic we've ever made and written a survival guide. No antibiotic can harm them. Doctors have a name for the future where that's the norm. They call it the post-antibiotic apocalypse, a world where a cut on your finger could kill you because nothing stops the infection, where we're essentially back to the medical capabilities of the 1800s, and part of how we got here is people demanding prescriptions for their sniffles. Your cold will last 7 to 10 days with or without antibiotics, so save them for when something is genuinely trying to end you. That was such an emotional ride. It has made me hungry. Quick question, where do you think the food is digested? You said stomach. Don't even try to pretend you didn't, because almost everyone does, and you are so wrong. Stomach digests your food. Digestion means breaking down food into smaller components that body can absorb and use for its routine tasks, like producing enough energy to be rejected by your crush 7th time this month. Your stomach does about 20% of the work and has somehow taken full credit for the entire operation. Here's what's actually happening. Digestion starts in your mouth. Your saliva contains enzymes that begin breaking down carbohydrates before the food has even made it to your throat. By the time it reaches your stomach, digestion has already started. The stomach does its thing. Acid, churning, breaking down proteins, turning your meal into a thick paste. Very useful, but not nearly enough to help the body. That paste then moves into the small intestine, which is where about 90% of actual nutrient breakdown and absorption happens, with a lot of help from the chemicals produced by pancreas and liver. So the next time someone asks you where the food is digested, make me proud. Time for dessert, and also the last myth of the day, sugar makes kids hyperactive. Okay, this one might actually upset some parents. Researchers did controlled studies where kids got either a sugary drink or one that tasted exactly the same with 0 sugar. And nobody, not even the kids or the parents, knew which was which. Then, parents were told their child had sugar, even when they hadn't. Those parents consistently rated their kids as more hyperactive. The real victim here was the parents' brains, and the culprit was the idea of sugar, not sugar itself. Which honestly tracks, because glucose is literally your brain's preferred fuel. Giving a child slightly more of it doesn't flip some chaos switch. Their body regulates blood sugar efficiently, and the extra doesn't go anywhere dramatic. Now, do kids get hyper at birthday parties? Absolutely, but birthday parties also have 20 screaming kids, balloons, games, and these things. You would become hyperactive too if you were in a space that works like cocaine on your brain. And the myth was busted by science once again. I hope you liked the video, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, do it now for more videos on weird but interesting human science. Until next time.